On today's podcast, we're going to do another episode of Hot Topics, where I'm going to be joined by my friend, dermatologist Dr. Emily Levin, and we're going to talk about all the hottest topics in cosmetic medicine. Today, we're going to talk about the Nefertiti lift. We're going to talk about Notox. We'll talk about nanofat grafting and certain celebrities who've gotten a lot of news about plastic surgery. All right, so I'd like to go ahead and welcome back once again my good friend, Dr. Emily Levin. Thank you so much. So if you haven't listened to the previous Hot Topics, this is I think your third time joining me. Let's just once again reintroduce you, where you practice, what your practice entails, what type of doctor you are.
Okay. Hi. Well, thanks again for having me. I love doing this. This is fun having these conversations with you. My name is Dr. Emily Levin. I am a private practice dermatologist in the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan. And I own and run a private practice where I do a mixture of general dermatology, surgical dermatology, skin cancer removals, and some cosmetic dermatology as well.
Cool. And I think that it's really helpful because for me, I'm a plastic surgeon, so I trained with plastic surgeons. I never trained with a dermatologist. And so to get somebody who comes from a completely different background to discuss these hot topics, these stories, I think is going to be so helpful. And so welcome back.
Thanks.
So how has life been for you since we did the last podcast? Anything new in your life?
Life is good. No, just life is good. Practice is good. You know, we both have children in college now, so it's just changed the dynamic of the house a little bit, but in a good way.
It's a tough transition. I don't know about you, but I mean, I was pretty upset for a while. Not like angry or anything, but it was like, a little sad, you know, it's a transition.
It is a big transition.
It's never going to be quite the same once your first child moves out and goes to school.
I know. It has definitely been a transition. I think it was sort of figuring out too how much to communicate for the first few weeks, giving them their space, but also, and now we have a nice dynamic where we're FaceTiming a little bit and really staying in touch a lot. And it's nice. And both of our kids are close, which is nice. So we can see them more often than.
Yeah. I think a weird part is that every night I would say, hey, good night. I love you. Good night. Every night, like all of his life, every single night, except 1 week when he's at camp, summer camp, where we don't have access. He didn't have access to a phone or anything. But every night we would say, good night. I love you. And then all of a sudden he's at school and I don't want to bother him. Right. Yeah, if he's out at a party and
good
having
night,
fun,
I love
and
you,
look,
love Dad.
Yeah, my dad's texting me.
Texting me, I love you.
So like, at what point do you? So I feel like that's where we have dropped off, just because I don't want to really be a nuisance to him.
I agree.
But it's tough because it's like it's such a change.
You have to find the balance between like not driving them crazy, but like maintaining that relationship and that closeness with them. So it's taken a while to figure. I think we're figuring it out.
Well, one of the things that I'm doing in my practice is I am getting rid of. I actually just put my Emsculpt device for sale on eBay. Yes, you can buy devices like this on eBay. And I got this, back in 2019. And for those of you who don't know, Emsculpt is a muscle stimulating device. And this came out with a lot of fanfare, probably back 2017 is my guess, maybe 2018. And the idea is that it stimulates your muscles to contract 20,000 times over a half-hour session. And for many years, for at least a year or two, I was, suspicious that maybe it wasn't going to be all that great. Because to me, I work out regularly, and I know that if you stop working out, you don't see those results go away. But when they came out with a study that showed 6-month results, showing that results persisting after 6 months, meaning thickening of the muscle, even reduction of fat, I went and bought the device back in 2019. All my employees, myself included, used it. We saw some nice improvements and stuff. But since then, what happened is that they came out with this device called Emsculpt Neo. Mm-hmm. And I swear, I have to look it up. I swear they came out like a year after I got the Emsculpt. And these devices, I'll tell you, they cost over $100,000. I don't remember exactly. This was probably almost $200,000, this device. Yep. And then within a year, I think, of me buying this, they come out with a different one with the same name, Tacton Neo, where they add radio frequency to it to help reduce fat as well. And so then what happened in my practice is that, we had regular Emsculpt, and the company offered, they said, oh, you can upgrade to Emsculpt Neo if you pay us something like $60,000 or $70,000 or some huge amount like that, although they're discounting it for me. And I didn't want to pay them even more money, like within a year or so after buying this. So it kind of pissed me off.
It pisses me off all the time, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, in all, like these laser companies, and I have a few in my practice as well, one that I'm been looking to sell for a while. I don't even think it's worth anything. Is my All-Therapy device. Do you guys have All-Therapy?
No, I
Did
don't.
you ever have All-Therapy? All-Therapy is similar, but all these companies, they come out with these lasers, and then a year or two later, they come out with the new and improved version of the lasers. They try to upsell you, to get the new improved version. So is your old one obsolete now at this point? And now you've spent $200,000.
We would have people call and they say, well, you have old Emsculpt.
Right.
You have Emsculpt old. I want Emsculpt Neo.
I want the
And
new
it's like,
Emsculpt.
so yeah, I feel like it was very disingenuous. Like, if you come out with a different, call something else. They have Emsula. Like, why don't you call it RF or something?
Right.
So it's a different, even if just the fact that you gave it the same name and just added something to it, you basically screwed me over.
Totally.
Because patients will say, well, why would I just want old Emsculpt? Why don't I get Emsculpt and lose fat more with this other device?
Yep.
It makes sense. I would want the same thing.
Yep.
And so all of a sudden after that comes out, the amount of people doing it dropped considerably.
Yep.
And I refuse to give the company more of my money.
Yep.
Like, forget it.
But I will say, people are always wanting to try the new and improved thing, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time. But I also find as the provider, if you say to them, like, you know what, that is the new and improved, but this old machine still works really well, then you can sort of, and it's true because it does. Did it work? Like, did it
worked
really
fine.
work? Okay.
Yeah, I feel that they try to make it out to be more than it is. They've got a new one now where they have the pads on your face and it's stimulating your muscles of your face. And I think that's BS.
I do too.
I just, come on. Unfortunately, devices get FDA clearance, meaning that they're safe to use because they piggyback on another device. They get a safe to use clearance, but not necessarily meaning that it's actually all that effective. Are there any devices that you have bought that you have basically realized later on that, you know what, this really wasn't all as it cracked up to be, and so I've gotten rid of it?
Well, with All-Therapy, that's the one in particular right now, which is that, it's an ultrasound device, a deep ultrasound that's supposed to tighten collagen.
Yeah.
And I found that when we first got it, we got it in like 2016 or 2017, that it does give, all of these devices to me do a little something.
Yeah, they can work.
They really can work.
Yeah.
And if you keep up with them, like anything else, just like when you exercise, if you stop, you lose. If you stop doing these devices, your aging catches up with you. And, so if you continue to do them, I think they really do make somewhat of a difference. Nothing is the same as surgery, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But with All-Therapy, it's so painful that like the little bit of reward you get from how painful it is has made a lot of our patients that have tried it like, okay, it helps, but it's so darn painful.
Really?
So then we had to get Pronox, which is the nitrogen, the nitrous oxide to breathe, to have people do it, and it's still painful. I do it on myself. And I still find it so exquisitely painful. I can sometimes only tolerate half of my face. And then I'm like, wait, are any of them miracle devices? No. Do they do something if you keep up with them? They do, but they're expensive. So how do you,
I feel that they're workhorse devices in a doctor's practice.
Right.
And then there are these other ones that are, they kind of are different categories. And some of them, like with Emsculpt, try to start their own category.
Yep.
And some of them I think end up becoming very helpful and some of them not as helpful.
Yeah.
And so for my, I've had multiple devices. I recently got rid of I had a Cynosure called a Cynosure Synergy, where it was a Nd:YAG and a pulse dye laser all in one. That was the first laser I bought. It cost me, and this was back in 2005, I think I bought it, and it cost me at that time maybe $120,000, which at that time was a lot of money. And that one actually, because it was so versatile, it was based off of established workhorse type of lasers, it worked very well for us until eventually it just got old and things were breaking down and I just didn't want to pay for the warranty anymore. We've had an IPL device that we're now going to probably get rid of. It was from Syneron called E-Lite, and the IPL, that worked great for us for a really long time. And it just got old after a while. I'm even practiced 20 years and things get old.
Same. We had an IPL laser that was our workhorse for years.
Yeah.
And then when that finally just sort of started phasing out, you can only repair it so much, over the years. I think we had it for about 10 years. And then we just got a Cyton BBL laser, the broadband light, which is sort of a different version of the IPL. And it is a workhorse for us too. It's great.
Yeah, I have the InMode version, essentially, their IPL, and that's great. And that has it has IPL, it has hair removal, and it has Morpheus 8, which we've been doing a lot of. So that's been a great workhorse for us.
Yeah,
love that
Morpheus
device.
is the radio frequency microneedling, right? We have one of those called the Pixel 8. That's from I'm blanking on the name of the company, but it's Pixel 8, and we love that device. That is the radio frequency microneedling. But of course, that made obsolete the regular microneedling. So we had like a skin pen for a long time.
We still have that. We still do that.
Yeah, we don't get it that much.
People who want something that's a budget alternative, then I think that works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some people just don't want to spend all that money. And
on
so
the radio
I still think that the regular micro pens are good.
Yeah. We have
Yeah.
ours. I should try to use it more.
We had, what have I tossed? There are ones though that, people have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on and then nobody uses them anymore. So a good example I think of that is laser lipo.
Oh,
So
yeah.
back in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, it was all about laser lipo. Smart Lipo was one of the big ones, but every laser company had their own lipo. There's Cool Lipo, there was Lipo Light. I think I had Lipo Light, Lite. And luckily for me, I just borrowed it. Like they let me use it for a while. But every laser company had their laser lipo device because there were certain doctors that said, oh, if you lipo with this, you can tighten up the skin. And now I don't think you can buy any of them. Like they're all gone. Like that entire market,
Isn't it
which was
interesting?
probably a dozen of these devices, people spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and it's gone. Like nobody's using them anymore.
It's really unbelievable. That's why you have to really do your due diligence and finding out what's going to be a workhorse. Laser companies come all the time. I'm sure they do to you too, and want me to buy this new device and that new device. And I'm sort of on a hiatus for a minute because we have our two good workhorses: the radio frequency microneedling and the BBL.
That's
We're good with that.
Basically,
Chemical peels.
That's what we have too. Is we've got the Morpheus 8, we've got an IPL, we've got the fast hair removal, which is part of that whole thing.
Yep, same part of
and
the
we've got
BBL.
some other ones that, like, I have Fractora that was from InMode, and that was an earlier version of the RF microneedling, and we don't use that anymore because Morpheus 8 is so much better. So it's like, okay, this is one thing we're not doing at all.
Right, here we go.
So
Where
it's
does that laser
interesting.
go?
Has
Graveyard,
there-
laser
has there-
graveyard.
Have you ever in your career had a device like the laser lipo where after using it for a while and buying it, and after a year or two, I mean, I know you mentioned therapy. Is there anything else that you have thought, dang, I wasted my money on this and maybe I shouldn't have bought it?
I don't think so. I mean, Cool
that's
Sculpting
good.
is the other one that we have. And I have to tell you,
Yeah.
I still love Cool Sculpting. I mean, I do it myself all the time when I
Yeah.
gain 10 pounds or 5 pounds. I'm not kidding. I really do think that it works. I know there can be that very rare complication.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Linda Evangelista
We
made
have
that very-
Sculpture,
Yeah.
and that's been great for us too. So
Yeah.
that's the Cynosure version of it that heats the fat versus cooling the fat, but similar results. And
Yeah, as long as you're realistic, the patient is realistic, you pick the right candidate. Not everyone's a candidate for those things. And as long as an ethical physician, we pick the right candidates and are honest about what the results are going to be, I get great results still with Cool Sculpting. I have not had a device besides really the all-therapy that is kind of phasing out for me, not,
Yeah.
it still works. It just, so no, I really haven't had
Yeah. Well, if
anything
you look at, I think one great place, and I look at it, I used to because it's not used as much anymore, is realself.com. It's a great website that has all of these procedures, and you can go to it and you can look up, let's say, Cool Sculpting, or you can look up Ultherapy, and it will say the worth it rating of the people who go on the site and they rate it, whether it's worth it or not worth it. And if I remember at one point I saw Ultherapy was at like 66% or something like that at the time. And I don't know where it's at right now. And it's like, yeah, I really want something that has a better percentage than that.
Yeah.
Although when I got the M-Sculpt, it was really high. And so I thought, yeah, this is it. And then in the end, I mean, it's okay, but buy it. It's on eBay. Just, go on eBay and put up M-Sculpt and yes, buy it.
Maybe we'll package it with my all-therapy device.
Oh, yeah,
so
there
you can
you
get
go.
a twofer. Well, you get a twofer.
Buy one, get one free. All right, so we got some hot topics to talk about today. And let's start off with a couple of celebrity stories. And these are not real stories, but just two celebrities who just look incredible. And you may argue that they don't look incredible because they may look too plastic to you. But man, the first one is Demi Moore. Demi Moore made some news headlines, I don't know, maybe a year ago, where she was on the red carpet and she looked like her cheeks were real sucked in. And I don't know if it was just a bad photo, or maybe she was making a certain face. But people were talking, oh, she had a buccal fat removal and all this stuff. Lately, she has come out, I think, with a movie and stuff, and she's been promoting a bunch of things, and she looks incredible.
She does. She looks really
Like,
good.
I mean, I think she's in her mid 60s or something, and her face has not a wrinkle on it, but she doesn't look plastic. And
Yeah.
that's, I think, the crazy thing. Have you seen her?
I have. I would say I mostly agree with you, except the cheeks. There's still something a little odd about the bulbous, the apple of her cheek that I think looks a little odd to me. I did see that weird photo with her sucked in
Yeah,
cheeks.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that was just sort of a weird
Yeah,
photo.
I
But
don't know. Yeah.
in general, I think she looks amazing, but there's something about her cheeks that still looks a little like, oh, too much filler, or an implant that's fallen a little bit or something. But she overall looks good, but I still, my critical eye is like,
I think she looks fantastic. I mean, I think she's had a good amount of work because you cannot look as good as she does at that age with a perfectly sharp neckline. But it doesn't, in my opinion, I mean, she doesn't look waxy or anything like that. But yeah, she's just incredible. And there's so many things you could speculate that she's had, from a lower facelift. I'm sure she had some type of a lift done, maybe some eyelid surgery and stuff. And then the other celebrity that I actually was watching a show that she was on called
Perfect Couple.
No, that was a recent one, but
yeah.
there was actually a show that was on about a year ago, and I'm blanking on the name of it, but it was like Special Ops. It was a Special Ops show
Oh, yeah.
that she was on.
Yeah. I can't
And
remember the name of the show. I didn't watch it, but
it was from Taylor Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan, the guy who did Yellowstone, had this Special Ops show that she was on it. And I watched the show probably maybe a year ago, maybe a little less than that. And she, to me, was obvious that she had a facelift. Because I remember watching her in, I think it was Slumdog. Was she in? No, she wasn't Slumdog Millionaire. She was in there was another one with the guy who was in Slumdog Millionaire who had a show called, I think, Lion.
Yes.
A movie called Lion. Fantastic movie.
Yes.
And she was like his mother, I think, in that, or adopted mother or something.
Yeah.
And she looked her age.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow, she looks her age in it. And then I saw her in Special Ops. I thought, oh my gosh, she's totally had a facelift. She's probably had some filler and stuff like that. And then she's made a lot of news lately. I didn't, have you seen that show, her latest one?
I did not.
My
Well,
wife saw
Perfect
it.
Couple I've seen.
Perfect
Yes,
Couple, yeah, you
Perfect
saw
Couple I started watching. I mean, I
Yeah.
think honestly, she looks fabulous. Yes, she's had some stuff done, but it doesn't look artificial to me at all. It looks like perfect. Like whether she had a facelift a few years ago, but whatever she is doing now, I think she looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, she has very clean lines. Do you think she looks like herself though? I think that's the question.
I do. I mean, I do. I think just, a little
Yeah.
frozen, but like a
Yeah.
frozen version of herself. I
Yeah.
think she's
Yeah.
done a good job with kind of keeping up with things. I do.
What I'm impressed with is, I mean, in Hollywood, there's a stigma, and you hear stories of people, oh, if you get stuff done, they're not going to give you roles and stuff like that. I know when I was out in LA, one of the things that the actresses would say, and I worked with a plastic surgeon out there, he did a lot of nose jobs. And one of the things we do in nose jobs is we can take down the nasal ala a bit, and that leaves a little scar at the base of the nose of each nostril. And that was one of the things that supposedly the casting agents would look at. And if you've got that scar, they would actually then not give you the role.
Really?
Yeah. And so really the whole idea, not that, okay, if you're going to get a nose job and you want to be an actor, then don't get the scar. But really what I think it's obvious to me that she's had a good amount of work done, and she has apparently had work done throughout the years. I mean, you see, videos where sometimes her eyebrows are real high and arched, sometimes they're not and stuff like that. And all the more power to her. I think part of it is that she is such a good actor that she can get all this stuff done and it doesn't matter. Like she can have the scar, not that she does. I don't know if she does have the scars on her nasal. They'll still give her the part because she's so good at what she does.
So good. She is so good.
Yeah. So
I personally think she looks great. I think she looks better than Demi Moore because I think
Really?
I think Nicole looks a little more natural. Like I agree with you. Times like you see her and there's like, whoops, her Botox was a little much, and she's not moving her eyebrow arch or whatever. But I mean, that's happened to me too. So, every once in a while you just got to take a step back. But I think she looks great. I think Nicole, and she's such a good actress.
Yeah.
That
I mean, both of them just fantastic at what they do. Okay. So the next thing I want to bring up with you is the Nefertiti lift. And this is something that has been in the news. People have been talking about a lot on social media. Are you familiar with the Nefertiti lift? Are you doing the Nefertiti lift?
I don't do it on patients and I've had it done myself.
So can you explain to our audience what the Nefertiti lift is?
Yeah, the Nefertiti lift is using little, I would say aliquots, or little tiny doses of Botox in certain areas where we have this neck muscle called the platysmal muscle, which forms bands and kind of pulls down on the skin of our jawline. And if you release that with Botox, some of those bands pulling down, you can pop up the skin right there and give a little bit more of like a defined jawline and a little less sagging of the skin. It's not, you're not going to pull up all the skin, but it definitely can give you a little bit of a pop on your jawline, and it looks really good. And release some of those vertical neck bands. A lot of people come in with the tech neck with the horizontal bands. It does not fix that, but it definitely can pop up the jawline a little bit.
Where do you inject it in your patients?
So platysmal bands, you have to make this face that, I don't know if you kind of like have them like pull down on their neck a little bit in the corners of their mouth, and you can immediately you'll see these anterior or lateral, front or side neck bands pulling down, and you can see where they pull down. So I usually have them contract that muscle, pop, pinch it, and I inject down those muscles. And then there are a couple little spots along the jawline and where your mouth turns down here. There's a nerve that you can inject down here on the sides of the chin that can pop up the corners of the mouth a little bit too.
How many units do you usually do on the side of the jawline? Because that's the area that's, I think, the kind of the quote unquote new area that people are injecting for the Nefertiti.
Tiny bit, like 2 units. If I'm using Botox, it depends on the neurotoxin. But if I'm talking Botox, I usually use like 2 units, 2 units, 2 units, 2 units. And you just kind of go along here a little bit, right along the jawline. But the bulk of it is really in that platysmal bands, and especially high up when they make that face. And
Yeah.
I haven't done mine in a while, so you can actually see mine. But yes, and it pulls down. And
Mhm.
so that's where it really pops up. And then just little tiny bits of 2 units in like 3 or 4 spots along the jawline.
There was a video that a dermatologist did that was really interesting. And it went viral on, I think, Instagram, where she did the Nefertiti lift on half of her face.
Ooh.
And she said,
Love
yeah,
that.
I've done it on half. And she starts moving it around. And the comments are positive and negative. There's some people, there's always going to be naysayers. I like the undone part of it better and stuff. But it really did show how that changes the appearance.
Yeah.
Any concerns that you have by doing the Nefertiti lift? Are there any patients that shouldn't have it done? Or have you seen any complications from it where maybe somebody shouldn't have had it done, but they did?
So actually, ironically, yes. First of all, someone that has significant sagging skin of their neck, it's not going to do much. If you have a lot of hanging skin, it's not going to pop all that skin up. It's just unrealistic to think that it would. But I have had someone where I was doing the downturned corners of the mouth, and she got a little bit of a paralysis on her lower lip, and kind of it was droopy for a few weeks after we did it. Thankfully, it was a staff member, and we were playing
It's
around
always
with
best if it's your
doses.
employee. Yeah,
It
they
was
get
my
for free.
employee,
Yeah.
so thank goodness. But of course, it's transient; it goes away.
Yeah.
But you just have to be careful. You have to be careful of placement. You have to be careful in the neck, of course. With obviously you don't want to go too deep or too much because of your larynx and your esophagus that's there. But I haven't really had any other side effects except really one time on a staff member, a little bit of drooping of the corner of her mouth.
Have you found that anybody was unhappy because they couldn't move their face as much as they wanted to?
Not with that one.
Because that's
Not
going to
with
be, I
that
think, the
one.
main thing that people worry about. Is it going to make me look too different? Am I not going to be able to make facial expressions like before?
No, I think that's a concern with some people when we do more forehead
Yeah.
or glabella area, but I've not had that issue with the Nefertiti lift.
Cool. Yeah,
or
we
neck.
haven't done it a lot in my office, but it's definitely been an interesting thing for
Yeah.
us. We've done under the corners of the mouth, we've done the neck, but the actual along the jawline is something that is not something we've done a whole lot
Yeah.
of. So
It's good. It doesn't work for everybody again, but it doesn't work perfectly for everybody, but it does gives you a little bit of a pop, especially for people that have the strong neck muscles. A lot of people that don't have those, it doesn't. Just sagging skin, it's not going to do it. You
yeah.
really have
So
to.
thumbs up to the Nefertiti lift.
Thumbs up to the Nefertiti lift. And I've had it done myself, and I thought it made a little bit of a difference. So thumbs up.
All right. Okay. So the next subject is nanofat grafting. So in the this is just from an article online. In the emerging arena of AI, there's nothing artificial about regenerative medicine. The latest innovation, the use of nanofat, a powerful form of fat processed down to its smallest regenerative components, is rich in stem cells and growth factors. Unlike traditional fat grafting, nanofat plastic surgery offers regenerative and anti-inflammatory benefits, making it a game changer in aesthetic treatments. San Francisco plastic surgeon Ziv Paled, MD, a faculty member at this summer's San Diego Academy of Regenerative Therapies conference, where fat, specifically nanofat, took center stage, sums it up best. We're now able to offer patients a minimally invasive procedure that not only provides structural support, but also helps their body heal itself. Nanofat is delivering results that were once thought impossible. This article gives a couple of examples of where it's used. Laser and nanofat plastic surgery for tighter skin. Who it's for? Patients seeking enhanced skin resurfacing results with faster recovery. What it treats? Fine lines, wrinkles, skin laxity, and uneven skin texture. What it entails? Doctors combine nanofat with skin resurfacing treatments like lasers or microneedling. Nanofat, rich in stem cells and growth factors, accelerates healing and amplifies the results of these treatments, leaving the skin thicker and smoother. The result? Tighter, thicker skin with far fewer lines. Patients notice the improvement immediately, but what's amazing is that the skin continues to improve for months as the nanofat works its magic beneath the surface. He continues, this approach reduces downtime significantly. Patients can get a more intensive treatment with quicker recovery, and the results are so natural, no one will ever know they had work done. Have you heard of nanofat grafting?
I have not. I have never heard of it until you mentioned it to me for this podcast.
So yeah, nanofat grafting, for those of you who haven't heard of it, is something I have heard, I've known about for many years. My understanding of nanofat grafting, when people started describing this in our plastic surgery meetings, was a few years ago. And essentially when you draw a person's fat out, and let's say we do fat grafting, which I do a lot of fat grafting, where you take the fat out, you spin it down, you remove the oil, which oftentimes is at the top of a syringe, and then the serum and the blood the blood cells are there at the bottom of the syringe, and that leaves you basically with the pure fat. And so that removes the oil and it removes removes basically the serum in the blood. If you take that pure fat and then you put that into a filter and you push it through a filter, then you can remove the actual adipose cells, the actual fat cells, leaving you with essentially a bunch of stem cells and stromal components and all these goodies and growth factors and stuff. So technically NanoFat doesn't have fat. It's kind of like PRP. It's the components essentially of PRP.
Yep.
But you take it from fat because we know fat is chock full of stem cells.
Yep.
And so what comes out then, because you filter that fat out, is this substance that's very thin. It's not clumpy like fat is. And so you can inject it through a relatively small needle into parts of the face. So what they're saying in this one is that it looks like some people are injecting it under the skin and they're combining that with lasers or microneedling to make the skin thicker and smoother. And I think once again, kind of like PRP, we're getting results like that. I don't know if they're overstating what NanoFat can do. I do think when they say that it adds structure, that's what I question because I don't know if there's any true structure there.
Right.
Have you done much with PRP?
With PRP, so the same. That's exact same results we got with PRP. PRP is great for people that want that all natural. They don't want that filler look, but it can give a little bit of a stimulatory effect, a mild stimulatory effect with those growth factors. So I've done it like in the tear trough area in the face, but I don't find that it gives you your immediate structure like a hyaluronic acid filler would give.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are disappointed with that because there's a much more gradual result, if much at all. I mean, it's a wonderful all natural situation, but we like PRP more for things like when you're doing microneedling to put on the surface of the skin for healing and things like that, as opposed to injecting it.
And I think you can inject it in the scalp. I think that's a great place to inject it.
And we're doing great results with people. Yeah, we're doing great with hair regeneration that way.
So when PRP first came out, there was a brand called Cell-Fill. And when you think about it, okay, Cell-Fill. And it was billed as a filler. And so I actually put it on Rachel Ray show as a filler because that was what we were taught. And I thought, hey, let's try it. And we inject it. And we did a lot of patients in the end, and I didn't see any filling component at all.
Yeah.
At all. But it's called Cell-Fill. Like they put it in the freaking name.
Yeah.
But I don't think it fills. And when you think about it,
Agree.
How can it fill? Because it's just your blood.
It's serum. It's like, you're right. It's just it's blood. It can't, and we inject it into the scalp for PRP rejuvenation. It doesn't give a filler quality at all or any plumping at all. It just dissipates.
Oh, well, people were even injecting into the breast saying it's a breast filler lift type thing. And it's like,
no, I mean, we bolus it into the scalp and you see the bolus and then it just dissipates.
Yeah,
so there's literally, that's a good test. It's not filling.
Then it would make sense if that's the case. So you can just draw somebody's blood, inject their blood into their wrinkles. It's going to fill the wrinkles. Like blood it's not a filler, it's blood.
It is 100%.
All right.
Agree.
Next part of this, blepharoplasty with fat for brighter eyes. Anyone looking to reduce who is it for? Anyone looking to reduce dark circles, hollowness, and fine lines around the eyes? What it treats: hollow eyes, dark circles, skin thinning, and wrinkles around the eyes. What it entails: instead of removing fat from the eyes in traditional eyelid surgery, NanoFat is injected into the eyelids to restore lost volume, improve skin texture, and regenerate collagen. Las Vegas oculoplastic surgeon Dr. Shreb Mint explains, the practice of removing large amounts of fat and muscle is gradually being replaced. Now we're focusing more on sculpting and carefully repositioning tissues in the upper and lower eyelids. Rather than removing fat, which can leave the eyes looking hollow and aged, we're now adding volume using microfat under the eyes, which helps eliminate dark circles and fine lines. I also use NanoFat for its regenerative benefits. He adds, patients end up looking refreshed and youthful without needing fillers, and the results last much longer because they're using their body's own tissue. Do you know Dr. Mint?
I do not.
Oh, he was an oculoplastic surgeon in the Detroit area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice guy.
Yeah.
So here they're talking about, when I do blepharoplasty surgery, I remove fat from the lower eyelids. Sometimes we remove skin from the upper eyelids, sometimes a little bit of fat. And there has been this trend towards, instead of removing the fat, repositioning the fat, let's say into the tear trough to try to fill it. I don't do it that way because my concern with that is that it can leave the area lumpy.
Yep.
Because that fat is basically lumpy fat. It's not, soft, smooth. And so it's just not something that a lot of surgeons do, but some people do. And here he's talking about, though, this is a little bit, I think, misleading because he's talking about using microfat, which is true fat grafts under the eyes, which I think you can definitely do. And then he puts NanoFat for its regenerative benefits. So basically he's saying that he's injecting now NanoFat as a regenerative thing. Have you found improvement in dark circles by injecting PRP?
Not PRP. Not PRP. With filler, hyaluronic acid filler, absolutely.
Interesting.
But not PRP, again, because that's what I tried it initially because, it's tough tough area to inject with fillers anyway because it can look lumpy. It's a very thin-skinned area. You have to be very careful where you place the filler.
But you haven't, because I've seen some photos of people getting PRP injected under their eyes and seeing an improvement just in the darkness and stuff, but you haven't seen that.
I have not seen that. Immediately, of course, there's an improvement because it's going to swell the tissue.
Yeah.
But long-term or after that dissipates a little bit, I only see that improvement with fillers. I don't do PRP. I really don't inject PRP anymore in the face, only in the scalp.
Yeah.
But I mean, the tear trough under the eye is a tough area. And I tell my patients in all honesty, a lower blepharoplasty is the only thing that's really going to make a big difference.
If it's puffy, then
I mean that fat herniation, that fat that's pooching down there, you got to pull it out.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. I wish there was a quicker fix for under the eyelids, but that's a tough one.
Okay, so the next thing we have is Gen Z giving up Botox for Notox. All right, so what is that? Well, Gen Zers have been driving up the Botox and filler demand for years. Some are ditching injectables for a new trend, Notox, anti-aging routines that focus on topical treatments like serums and face taping. The reasons range from the cost of treatments and side effects like filler migration and face freezing. Some also worry about Botox blindness, which is overdoing Botox and filler without realizing it. I've never heard that term before.
I've never heard that
I mean, it makes sense, Botox blind. I think it would be more like filler blindness. Not that you're going blind from filler, but that you are blind to the fact that you've had too much of it done.
You've had too much, yeah.
From his experience, younger generations care more about a holistic approach to keep themselves healthy, such as focusing on longevity. This is from a plastic surgeon, Dr. Jimmy Sung in New York City. Some are searching for long-term ways to have smooth, bouncy skin, such as restoring collagen. Sung shared 3 Ps, peptides, protein, and plasma energy, that he recommends trying for a no-tox anti-aging skincare routine. So we're just going to go over each of these 3 Ps. Number 1, invest in peptides. Peptides are short chains of amino acids that make up proteins in the skin. Collagen is made up of peptides, so adding peptides to your skin can stimulate its growth, reducing wrinkles and inflammation. While some people inject peptides directly into the skin, Sung says it's technically illegal to use them as skincare shots, which is true. Instead, he applies topical salmon sperm on clients because salmon and human DNA are surprisingly similar.
Back to the salmon sperm.
What are your thoughts on peptides? Should young people invest in peptides?
Well, I don't know that you can inject peptides into the skin. That one I wasn't even truly aware of. We have good skincare products. We carry some, these high-end skincare products that do have peptides in them. And I think all of that is great. I don't know what plasma energy is. That one we'll have to review when we get to it.
Yeah.
But it's all in combination. I mean, injectables aren't for everybody, but I do injectables and then I have an amazing skincare routine that includes peptides, retinols, your sunscreen. So I do think there's a role for peptides. I don't know about injecting them, but everybody should be using some skincare with peptides in them.
Yeah, so peptides basically are cellular messengers that stimulate your cells to create collagen. And so, yes, peptides in skincare I think is great. If I had to pick between retinol or peptides, what would you pick?
Retinol.
If you had to pick between growth factors and peptides, what would you pick?
Growth factor.
Growth factor and retinol, what would you pick?
A retinol.
Retinol and bakuchiol, what would you pick?
Ooh, retinol.
Okay, bakuchiol and growth factors?
Growth factors.
Interesting.
My tier: sunscreen, retinol, growth factors, antioxidants, peptides, all the other, all the others. But that's my 4 top.
I would agree. I think that retinol I think is the most proven, and I would start with retinol. If you can't tolerate retinol, then I recommend going for bakuchiol. Peptides I think are a great add-on. If you can't tolerate retinol, then you want to do peptides instead, then by all means do it. If you're a skincare enthusiast, throw in both. Do them all because they work differently.
Agree.
Interesting. Peptides are a catch-all term for any group of small groups of proteins, though.
Yeah.
And so like when you use the term peptides, I think that there's so many things it can apply to, and Ozempic is a peptide. We have to keep in mind if you hear people talking about peptides, it can apply to any short chains of amino acids. Essentially, those are peptides. In skincare, though, that's what we're referring to are these short chains of amino acids of proteins that stimulate collagen production. Number 2, protein. Eat enough protein. In his consultations, Sung uses a body composition monitor to measure a client's body fat and muscle ratio. Specifically, he said getting enough protein in your diet can restore collagen in your skin, while losing fat in your face can lead to more pronounced lines. If you're living a healthy lifestyle, he said exercise like strength training goes hand in hand with a high protein diet, sleep, and proper nutrition. Thoughts on protein? Is this stuff do you have time to talk to your patients about this? Does insurance allow you the
Nope.
time to talk to your patients about protein and get body muscle composition measurements?
This is what I would say. I mean, patients are often asking about diet and their skin, right? I mean, number one is having a healthy diet. That we all know that. Like eating crappy foods is not going to be good for your skin. Drinking a ton of water, eating a lot of antioxidants, fruits and vegetables is super good for your skin. Protein is good for your body for other reasons and weightlifting and all of those things, but in terms of for your skin, it's not something I normally say you should be eating a lot of protein that's good because it's good for your skin. The other things I said, water and antioxidants, yes, but I'm not really counseling patients to eat more protein for their skin, specifically for their skin. Do you?
I don't have time in usually my consultations are different than what we put, let's say, out here a lot, with the information for my followers, because a lot of times when I do a consultation, somebody's like, I've got loose skin in my neck and I want a facelift. And we spend the time talking about that. And most of the time we don't get a chance to talk about protein.
You don't say eat more protein and that'll fix your neck skin. Yeah.
But I do believe, collagen is a protein, and I think that it's important to get sufficient amounts of protein in your diet so that you can help give your body the building blocks for collagen. And so that is part of my book, Younger for Life. Protein is a big part of it. And I think that there more and more has been an understanding at the importance of muscle as we get older, and protein obviously being a catalyst for, the building block, obviously, for having sufficient muscle. The interesting thing I find is that if you read books from anti-aging scientists, where there are scientists, PhDs who are focused on longevity, they're doing rat studies, and you're looking at longevity, technically, the more protein that you're eating, the more it will repress your longevity genes. And people live longer if they technically have more moderate to smaller amounts of protein. But the problem with that is, especially in women as they go through menopause, is muscle mass. And in men as well, as you get older, you get sarcopenic, you lose muscle mass. And what you don't want to do is get so weak that because you don't have enough muscle, because you're not having enough protein, that you fall, you hurt yourself, you break your hip, and I think quality of life is a part of it too. So I feel like there are two competing groups right now that I find really fascinating. There are the anti-aging scientists, a lot of them who are telling you, like a Dr. David Sinclair will say, hey, less protein in a lot of ways is better for overall longevity. And then you've got physicians who are more functional medicine type-minded physicians, like my friend Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who's really focused on protein and muscle growth and stuff. And I think that there is, a happy medium there somewhere too. And I think it depends on your life situation.
I completely agree. I think it's very nuanced, and I think it can be very specific. I mean, a balanced diet for everybody is going to be good, incorporating some protein and so. But I think it's going to be different for everybody based on your lifestyle, your genetics. It's really. So I don't think there's an answer that's going to be for everybody on this one, actually. I mean, I think you have to do what your body's telling you to do, what your medical results are telling you, things like that. But in terms of protein and skin, I'm not sure I would say eat more protein because it's good for your skin. That's not the most important part of it.
You'd focus on other things first.
I would focus on other things first.
I hear you.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, if budget allows, try plasma energy treatments. Sung's third P is plasma skin regeneration, a non-laser treatment that promotes collagen growth using plasma energy. Because of the deeper penetration, the results can be more dramatic than simply using topical products, but it can get pricey. A package of sessions can cost anywhere from $1,100 to $2,500. Plasma energy, you work with that? Yeah, look on Dr. Emily's face.
You should see, I'm like, what?
What are you talking about?
I've been doing this for over 24 years, and I don't know what plasma energy is.
So,
what am I missing?
Okay, there was a treatment many years ago, and I know this because of one of my best friends, he's a plastic surgeon, bought this treatment called Portrait by Plasma or something like that, but it's Portrait. The idea was Portrait, and it was a plasma device that was like skin resurfacing. And my understanding is that he got it at a special deals. They sold it to him. And if you go on realself.com and you look up Portrait, the reviews are like really bad. Not good. Like you're probably looking, and don't quote me on this. I think the company went out of business a long time ago. Okay. And there are nozzles that they would have to buy to use this device. So my buddy buys this device. I think it was $100,000, something like that. And you have nozzles that you have to put on for each patient. And it's like a resurfacing treatment using plasma energy. So kind of like a fractional.
Like a Frax or CO2 or something like that.
And after buying it, not that long after, the company goes belly up. And now he can't find nozzles to use it. And so the device now, as we started this talk, we were talking about devices that we got rid of that are not around anymore. that I think is one that is like a nice coat
Goner.
hanger.
It's a goner.
Yeah, it's a coat hanger.
Yeah, it's a coat hanger. I have never even heard of plasma energy
so-
except platelet-rich plasma.
Where I think it's also being used nowadays, plasma energy, is Renuvion. Are you familiar with Renuvion?
I'm not.
So Renuvion is, the other name for it was J-Plasma. And this is a device that's been around for several years. It's invasive. That may be why you're not as familiar with it.
Yeah.
But essentially what it is, it's like a new generation of laser lipo, where you anesthetize an area, you make an incision, and you stick this device underneath it, and it heats the skin from the inside out using plasma energy. And I did look at the device. I had never used it on a patient because honestly, when they showed it to me, it was called J-Plasma at the time, and they brought it into my office, and it looked like a flamethrower. I swear to God, it looked like a flamethrower. And I'm looking at this and they're showing me showing how it works. They're turning it on and it's like a flame type of thing coming out of it. And it scared the bejesus out of me. And so I was like, I am not using this.
Thank you.
You get one patient that gets burned from it and it's over.
Over.
So I never now they changed the name. I think it may be a different company now. I'm not sure, but it's called Renuvion. And I know some friends who have it. But essentially what it does, it uses plasma energy to heat the skin from the inside out. But this is surgery, minimally invasive surgery, but it's surgery. And right now, if you're talking about minimally invasive surgery to try to cause the skin to tighten and to shrink, that may be the best one out there. They recently got into hot water by the FDA because I think it's FDA cleared for safety, but not FDA approved for cosmetic use. I think it's something like that. And so I'm not sure what's going on with it. It's Renuvion. There are some plastic surgeons who have it, who are using it. I don't see a lot of people advertising it because potentially some legal issues, but I don't know if that's what I think that may be what he's talking about.
And it's just skin tightening. It's not fat removal. It's not, if you're...
No, I think people will probably combine it with lipo.
Yep.
It makes sense that you would, but I have referred a few people who have some laxity and they don't want surgery. And it's like, well, you can look into this. I just don't have any experience with it except like the first generation a long time ago that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. As a patient, I don't want you coming at me with a flamethrower. So
oh my gosh.
I wouldn't want to be the physician nor the patient.
All right. So last story I want to cover here is, I think, really fun story. Ariana Grande put an end to all plastic surgery rumors while taking a lie detector test. Grande's Wicked co-star Cynthia Erivo asked the singer burning questions about what work she's had while participating in Vanity Fair's lie detector test series, which was published via YouTube. Did you get your nose done? Erivo, 37, asked Grande, age 31. No, Grande quickly replied, with the test confirming she was telling the truth. She has not gotten her nose done. Erivo then asked if she's ever gotten a boob job. Grande denied it. No, can you imagine, she joked back, admitting she has not gotten a facelift yet, but is open to the idea of one in the future. This is the best day of my life, Grande said, continuing to lay plastic surgery rumors to rest. Take that, you YouTube people, which she may be referring to me as one of those. Grande also confirmed she's never gotten a fox eye lift, a chin implant, or a Brazilian butt lift. I've had fillers in various places and Botox, but I stopped like 4 years ago, Grande said, and that is the extent. She went on to say that she fully supports anyone who chooses to go under the knife. As her final question, Erivo asked Grande, did you lie at any point during this lie detector test and we didn't catch you? And Grande said no, to which the test administrator confirmed. This was the best day of my life, Grande gushed at the end of her test. So Ariana Grande has apparently not had any plastic surgery done. Does that surprise you?
No, that doesn't surprise me. She's young. I still think she's young.
She's 31, so she's not as young as she used to be. But...
True, but still, I think, that doesn't surprise me at all. I just think it's kind of comical that that's the best day of her life to confirm to people that she hasn't had plastic surgery. Okay.
I think it's tough being somebody who's such a huge star and, she's
be.
doing things with her hair. She may have had a little filler, a little Botox that causes some changes. And, I've seen these videos and I have made videos myself commenting on plastic surgery. We've talked about this on one of our previous episodes. Yep. I recently have been contacted by a number of different tabloids about different stars. And I'm turning these tabloid requests down because I feel bad, honestly, about commenting on some of them. But I did make a video on Ariana Grande years and years and years ago. And I get in hot water with some people online because I, in general, if a celebrity says I didn't get this done, in general, my first inclination is to believe them.
Yeah.
Unless I see obvious reason otherwise, I would believe them.
Yeah.
And so that people get mad at me. There's certain people who have huge accounts on YouTube where they really dissect the celebrities down, saying they've had all of these things done. And then I make a video and it's like, well, they may have had this, they may have had that, or maybe none of it. And then they get mad at me. And some of them don't like me because they think that I'm being too nice.
Too nice is not possible, by the way, in my opinion, at number one. Number two, I mean, she's not being specific. She said she hasn't gone under the knife, but has she had Botox or filler?
Yeah, she said she had Botox and filler.
Yeah,
she said she hasn't had it in many years, and I believe if you see her now, it's...
And again, I think there's this fine line, and this is going to make maybe people come after me too because I'm too nice, but there's this fine line between, they're in the spotlight. They want to, be like real people and acknowledge these things, but they also, want to keep something secret and quiet, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do Botox and filler, and, you just have to, like, when people have too much, you're like, whoa, like, they've had... But when they were doing little bits and they still look good, who cares? Let them do their thing and, live their lives. And
it's HIPAA, so it's their personal medical information anyway.
That's true. I don't know. I think that it's a little bit much to go after celebrities, like crazy about they've had this and they've had that and they've had this. I mean, I think they'll come out and she says she's not opposed to going under the knife someday if she needs it. And I think that's a very realistic, approach. And I think I appreciate that from her, quite honestly.
I really like, the fact that was such a great, I think, a kind of like a catharsis for her to get out there and say, hey, look, this is it. And then the lie detector test confirmed it. Yep. You know what? Good for her.
Good for her.
Hopefully it sets those rumors to rest and people can go on. I think she is so incredibly talented. I don't enjoy the way she sings. Like, it's too kind of feathery for me. And I think she has other ways of singing that I think for me, I like. She's not my style, but she is incredibly talented.
Yep.
And for her, I think to get this catharsis, that's great.
I agree. There's going to be people though that say that it was rigged, or they were, the same naysayers are going to be like, she's, the lie detector test was.
Well, I appreciate you joining me today.
Appreciate you having me. I enjoyed this.
So where can people find you if they want to learn a little bit more about you, Dr. Emily Levin?
Yep. They can find me online. Our website is www.nw-derm.com. Mm-hmm. We also have Instagram and Facebook as well, which you can just find directly from our website. And I'm in Brigham Farms, Michigan. So you can just find me or Google me.
And we'll put a link in the caption of this podcast. Definitely, if you want to find Dr. Emily Levin, she's a dermatologist in the Metro Detroit area. She's got a couple of different partners who are great. My family has actually been to her office many times. So definitely give them the highest recommendation. And definitely check her out on Instagram and her website as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, everybody. If you've been enjoying this podcast, if you could leave a rating or review on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, just takes 2 minutes of your time, but really helps us spread the word. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you back next week with another episode. And as always, remember to eat real food, use clean skincare, and auto-juvenate before you operate.